everybody. Welcome back to another PODMAS episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host, Maxine, and we're on PODMAS episode 11. Look at us. One more episode to go. Okay, I'm going to run it back. I'm going to run it back real quick because y'all know I love education, meaning I love to learn. I love to be a student. I love to be taught. I love to be enlightened, and I was enlightened about the Larry Hoover topic that I discussed previously. I think it was episode 3, the episode title, Street Hero Propaganda. And I recognize that as someone who is not from the streets, who is not a gang member or former gang member, who is not from Chicago, I may have come across very ignorant, which is fine. You know, we all are ignorant on something, and as long as you're willing to learn, then there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, I'm not going to be ignorantly stubborn. And I was recently educated on the Larry Hoover topic because, again, my stance at that time was, why the fuck are we trying to free him? You know, why are people going so hard for him? He was a murderer. He ruined the lives of many, you know, the generations of Black communities in the Chicago area. And though that is true, right? Like, though that is true, I fail to look at him as the complex individual that he was. And as someone who always try to look at things holistically, I did not do that for Larry Hoover. I did not do that for him. But I didn't do it for him primarily because I did not know he had a story outside of the negative. I did not know he had any desire to uplift the Black community while still doing bad. And that's just the dichotomy of the world that we live in. You take you take the good from the bad, or you create good from the bad. So sure, he created a gang, and the gang infiltrated communities with drug opportunities by the government. Let's make that very clear. But through that money that was profited from that, he was able to raise more Black communities. He was able to uplift people who were impoverished. He was able to create programs that were free and accessible for people who were not given access to lunch programs, etc. So as I was being educated on this by Freckles Bay, I decided to do my own research as well. And let's just go back to Malcolm X. So we know Malcolm X was previously known as Malcolm Little. And Malcolm Little is his former self, is his self before his metamorphosis, before his evolution. And Malcolm Little was running around, robbing people, robbing cars, just being a ratchet criminal, just a whole terror on the streets in Boston. Malcolm X was birthed when he was imprisoned, and he was able to be educated by many of the wise souls who were incarcerated at the same time as him. And he was exposed to the Quran, to Muslim life, and he was able to just gain this new life, just become his new self, and his impact upon the community became positive instead of the negative that it once was when he was Malcolm Little. So he decided to change his name to Malcolm X and go by that name because it represented the positive turnaround that he had and just the force that he had upon the community, and how many lives that he has changed for the better, how many people he have empowered and made to feel like, you know, you're not this uneducated Black fool here on the streets. Like, you could do more. You are more powerful, etc. And of course, that was a threat to the FBI, to the government, whose sole job, amongst many jobs, but whose sole job was to just criminalize, tear down, and take away any sense of power, any sense of freedom, any sense of knowing your own self and strength and your identity from the Black community. So Malcolm X was that threat. So his metamorphosis began from the bad that he was for all those years, and him finally going to prison for his petty theft, for his crimes. And from that bad, he was able to turn around and become Malcolm X, the one who we all know as this, or you know, he's long gone now, but his legacy still stands. And we know him as this civil rights activist. We know him as this fighter for equality, for rights upon, or for the Black community, etc. So thinking about the redemption that Malcolm X was afforded, I would be a fool not to consider that for Larry Hoover, who is currently incarcerated and has been for many years. And it's unfair to give that courtesy to someone else and not give that courtesy to someone else, right? Like, we all deserve to be seen as we want to be, right? If we are doing the work to try to be better, a better version of ourselves, to be recognized as, oh wow, like I knew you when you were younger, you was argumentative, you was a bitch, you was X, Y, and Z, but now you're calm, now you're understanding, now you're not judgmental. If I still choose to see you as your former self, then that's me incarcerating you at the same time. Like, I'm still putting you in this box. I'm still holding you hostage to your former self. And it's unfair. Like, I know that I have metamorphosized myself from when I was younger to who I am now. I've shared this on the podcast many times, how my former self was very argumentative. I found everything offensive. I would always try to argue you down. I was very judgmental. I found it my business to be in your business. Like, I was a bit of a bitch. But only I could say that, right? No, but I was. I had a lot of faults, and I did not show accountability. I did not demonstrate kindness all the time, or compassion in particular. Like, I wasn't who I am today. And knowing how much I've worked to be the woman that I am today, the woman who is before your ears right now, it's really an honor and it's grace given to me to be able to grow into who I am today, to be able to forgive myself, or just give myself the grace to move forward and not allow my former self to be the dictator of my life. So when I think about Malcolm X and how he turned from Malcolm Little to Malcolm X, that's the grace that he was able to receive. Why can't I give that same grace to Larry Hoover? Now, I mean, is he Larry Hoover X? I mean, maybe he needs to have a name change. But I also think what made it easier for people and for myself to recognize the metamorphosis of Malcolm X is that there were movies based off of his life. There are books written based off of his life. And so there's more of an opportunity to recognize that. And maybe that's because of the great impact he's had upon the world because of his civil rights activism, and because he's passed on. Now, I think oftentimes when someone is passed, there is more of a desire to give them their accolades, to recognize who they were. And that's really unfortunate. Like, we don't give flowers to people enough while they're alive, while they're kicking. And as soon as they're dead, it's like, oh, they were a great friend to me. It's like, but you wasn't a great friend to them, right? So I think that's also the reason why I was ignorant to Larry Hoover and what he has done positively for the Black community in Chicago, and I'm sure in neighboring areas. So let's talk about it. So I was doing some research and I came across a website, literally this website. So the name of the website is strange. The first part is like Addison Sarter 93.medium.com. Like, okay, I think it's like more of a blog, but it presented many factual pieces of evidence to really support the metamorphosis that Larry Hoover had. But like, you know how you go into a website and there's a backslash and there's more detail to what the specific page you're on. So the backslash is named FBI dash war dash against dash black dash Americans. It's like, okay, this website, this page is specific, right? So FBI war against black Americans. And so the reason why this isn't as mainstream is that we don't see enough or any information given in mainstream media. I'm saying that specifically. I'm sure you can find it underground, in the dark web if you do your Googles, but on Front Street in mainstream media, we don't see a lot of articles, we don't see a lot of information spewed out about the war against black Americans by the FBI. We don't see that a lot. We don't see any of that. And yes, we hear people say, at least some people do say how the government did implant crack in the community, how Ronald Reagan is the biggest crack dealer, the biggest drug dealer. And we hear that, but I feel like when that is said, there's not much, what's the word? There's not much like reverence given to that profound statement or fact. People consider that to be a conspiracy theorist type of information. And it's like, that just discredits people, right? As soon as people call you a conspiracy theorist, you are instantly discredited from whatever you say because it's not perceived as mainstream media information. So people are instantly throwing that away and making you feel like you're stupid, you're an alien for having this type of rhetoric. But this is really the fact, right? There was and is, but particularly at this time, there was a really strong war by the FBI, by the government against black Americans. And so this website really provided much factual evidence to support the fact that Larry Hoover was not just this, negative threat against society, but he's done a lot of good, and he tried to bring a lot of people he did bring a lot of people together to stop the violence that was plaguing the black community. So I'm going to read this quote that I got from the site, and then we'll talk about it. So I wrote down here, in 1969, two of the biggest gangs in Chicago united to stop the violence that was plaguing the black community. David Barksdale, who is the leader of the Disciple Nation, and Larry Hoover, who's the leader of the Gangster Nation, joined to form one organization, which makes sense why it's called GDs, Gangster Disciples. They work towards the same economic mission of Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and the Black Panthers. So we know these civil rights activists, right? We know Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, was just talking about him, and the Black Panthers. They were revolutionary. They were in your face, like, it's gonna be no justice, no peace. Like, I'm not gonna sit down, fall back as you guys give us false promises to grant us our equality. Instead, Malcolm X fought against it. Marcus Garvey, the Black Panther, wasn't Marcus Garvey a boule though? I gotta research that some more. But for the most part, you have these three examples of men, of organizations who really fought against the system and who was considered to be a threat against the FBI and against the government. So you have these people who were an example that Larry Hoover and David Barksdale used to better the community, to be influenced by, and to do better and to educate the community that they're in. So let's continue the quote. This was doing, and what this was is, I'm going to go back again. They worked towards the same economic mission of Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and the Black Panthers. This was doing for self and controlling the economy of the neighborhood. Let's pause right there. Doing for self. This is key. This is essential. Oftentimes, we're given this order to wait for a handout, to wait for our Savior to come and rescue us, to wait for the white man to open the door for us and give us an opportunity, rather than thinking that we are capable of creating our own opportunity. Rather than thinking that we can create our own jobs, we can create our own platform and be influential and be profitable and be just fine. Like, we don't need the help of our white daddy to get us to where we need to go. And so when you have this mindset being taught to young Black children, young Black people, or just Black people of any age, this is very powerful, and this is actually threatening to the FBI, to the government. They can't, or they don't want us to think or even consider that we have the option to do for ourselves. Huh? They want us to be in the welfare program forever. They don't want us to be free from it, be free from the government check, the government cheese. They want us to do as they say. And here's your little stock of cheese. They want us to do that. They don't want us to think, okay, you know what? You could be on welfare for a moment, get your money up, figure out opportunities, and then get out. They don't want us to be educated that we are capable of doing well for ourselves without your handout, without your consistent help, at least. Like, they don't think, or they don't want us to think that we can take advantage of the handouts that they do give us and create our own and be powerful on our own. And so the idea of even controlling the economy of the neighborhood is not even in our minds, right? Or it wasn't at one point in time. It was like, oh, I'll just go ahead and take this job and take this check that I definitely got underpaid for. But hey, a job is a job. And okay, I'm going to fall for the okie doke and fall for this American dream and work hard to get a house that I can't afford. But hey, I got a house, right? And this is no shade to anybody. I'm just saying, like, sometimes we fall for the okie doke of this American dream, this way of living, this standard of living, and we're suffering. We're suffering in the midst of that, but it looks good because, hey, we checked off the box of what you said is successful, of what you deemed as a marker of success. I was watching this movie called Vivarium. My God, don't go watch this movie. Don't, please. I'm here to tell you to not watch it. I did it so you don't have to do it. Let me make sure I said it right. Vivarium. And this movie is trash. I mean, it's good, but it's trash at the same time. I mean, do you know what I mean by that? I say trash because it made me furious. I wanted to go into Amazon Prime and say, F y'all, F this Amazon Prime membership that I'm in because y'all got me fucked up. Y'all got me fucked up. It really pissed me off. If you watch the movie, then you know what I'm talking about. But it was just in incessant amount of doom. There was no happy ending. There was no possibility of a happy ending. There was no way out. You know, movies like that's dystopian-esque or just straight out dystopian. There are some glimmer of hope, right? There's some glimmer of hope. There's some opportunities to have happiness, to pursue happiness. Like, when I think about The Purge, it's scary, right? Like, oh my gosh, you know, anyone could come to your door and kill you for one night and get away with it, and people get back to normal the next day. The glimmer of hope of movies like The Purge is that, look, there's only one night of this. All you gotta do is make sure you're protected and you're safe, and whoever you're in the home with is not trying to get you. Then you're fine. Just survive these this night, really, the night that the hours of the night that you have until the purge is over. That's a glimmer of hope. Vivarium, there's no glimmer of hope. It is just depression. It is just a negative energy being put in every scenario. There's no way out, and it's saddening. It's sick. Don't watch it. It's actually disturbing. But yeah, that's vivarium. So vivarium actually means, it's a noun. It means an enclosure, container, or structure adapted or prepared for keeping animals under semi-natural conditions for observation or study, or as pets in an aquarium or terrarium. The reason why this movie is called this is there are two people, there's a couple who is trapped in this suburban way of living, in this suburban neighborhood. All the homes, and if you guys are familiar with suburbs, homes in the suburbs all look the same. Like, there's really a lack of personality, unless it's Christmas time and you get to show like your Christmas lights or something. But for the most part, you have to keep your aesthetic the same. You can't change the outside of your home. You can't change the color of home. Like, you can't just suddenly have a new paint job. You have to keep your grass at a particular level of cleanliness, and it has to be cut to a certain level, right? You can't just have this like just a low upkeep of things. You have to keep things at this standard, and that is the expectation in suburban living. Maybe there are some suburbs is a little different, but I know in the suburbs that I visited, that I've been in, it's pretty the same. It's kind of creepy. And the creepiness of suburban life is really magnified in this movie. Literally, all the homes look the same. Like, literally the same shape of homes. You know how sometimes in suburban life, the homes are, okay, the door opens on the right side for this home, but the door opens on the left side for the other home. Like, there's a little differences, like, oh, a little personality there. But that, for the most part, that's it. In this movie, they all look the same. The only difference is the number of the house. So they try to leave the neighborhood. They can't. They're trapped in it because they're in a vivarium. And when I watch this movie, I'm trying to understand, like, what the fuck is this going? Like, what the fuck is this? What is the point? What was the reason? Cardi B, right? Remember? What was the reason? What was the reason? And of course, me, I love information. I love to learn. And so I went online trying to figure out, like, what the hell did I just watch? Like, what did I just spend almost 2 hours of my life? I was about to fight everybody. Like, this is a disaster. And I noticed there's a lot of key points in this movie from what I've researched. And one of the major key points of this movie, Vivarium, is that this couple in particular, was fed this idea of the American dream, and that suburban life is a marker for success. And this is where you should live. This is where you should raise your home or raise your family. This is where you should be for the next 30, 40 years. And the point of this movie was to demonstrate how falsely represented the American dream was to the people, and how many people were just bankrupt because of this idea of this American dream, how many people got into debt and was unable to pay their mortgage, and these homes were foreclosed. And I noticed in the movie that the couple had no neighbors. All the homes were still there, still built, still physically there, but there were no families next door. No one was there. And this represents a period of time in our world when the recession was a thing, and it was very impactful, and how many families lost their home due to foreclosure. And so you have a beautiful, picturesque family home deserted, vacated, because these families who thought they could afford, who bought into this dream of the American dream, they no longer can afford, and they're pushed out by the banks, and now they're in debt. Now their credit is shot, and now they're trying to figure out what now. I was forced to believe this idea of success, and now I don't know what success is. So going back to Larry Hoover, you have a man who was trying to teach the community and who taught the community about doing for yourself, about controlling the economy of the neighborhood, and teaching them, hey, you could be an entrepreneur. You could create your own business. You don't have to go to college and necessarily follow this path. You can if you so choose, but this is not the only way. And just opening the eyes, opening the mind of people who were so conditioned and indoctrinated to believing a particular way is the only way for success. So continuing this quote, it says, when they formed the gangs into one, they began changing the community for the better. They opened up businesses, restaurants, community cleanup programs, and advocated against truancy, which is big. And this is so big because considering that I am an educator, I see, especially during the pandemic, when school was more online than it was in person, a lot of students did not give a fuck about schools anymore, which, I get it, the times that we were in, but of course it hurt them. It hurt their academia, right? It hurt their learning. It hurt just their growth at the formative age that they're in. And so when you have an influential being like Larry Hoover, like David Barksdale, who advocated against truancy, this impacted a lot of the youth to really focus on their education, to take it seriously, to prioritize it. And so when they open up businesses and restaurants, community cleanup, this also provided opportunities for the Black community to own their own, to be the manager, to be the business owner, to be the manager of this restaurant, to earn an income on their own and not depend on the white man, the government, to give them a handout. So though they, of course, sold drugs, that money from the drug dealing and from the crack, right, was able to create so many amazing opportunities for people, for the Black community to be lifted. So I say this because, one, I was ignorant to it. One, I didn't know anything about it. And maybe if I was from Chicago, maybe if I was more familiar with street life, then I wouldn't have been. But it's important for us to educate ourselves and to be open to knowing other information and not be so strict on the stance that we was on, right? So I may have come off I'm sure I came off very like, nah, fuck that nigga, he needs to stay in jail, under the jail, all that. And I'm sure that came off harsh. But here I am today, right? So let me just finish off this quote. So he says, they open up businesses, restaurants, community cleanup programs, and advocated against truancy and pushed for voter registration drives. The gangs were given 2 centers in the community. Larry Hoover operated a free lunch program to feed youth in the community. They even marched non-violently with Dr. King when he was trying to end housing discrimination in Chicago. Like, I didn't know any of this. Like, are you kidding me? He was non-violent. I didn't know Larry Hoover was non-violent. Like, all I thought of him as was this violent, dangerous man who just killed niggas, who created crack addictions. And look, I'm sure that is also true, but I totally was ignorant to the good that he did. And we have to recognize, we are complex beings. We are complex characters. We have good, we have bad, we have ugly, we have beautiful, right? And so the same grace that we give Malcolm X, who was formerly Malcolm Little, I think should be the same grace given to Larry Hoover. Maybe he should just change his name and, Larry Hoover X, Larry Hoover Y. Like, I don't know, Larry Hoover Z. But again, I feel like oftentimes when someone is still living, we don't recognize the impact they had on us in the community and we only do so when they pass. So I hope he can get his flowers. I hope he can finally be released at one point. I really do. I mean, shit, maybe, hashtag free Larry Hoover. But I bring up this topic again because initially I was very so much on the stance of this man was a terror to the community, and why should we even consider freeing him? He should be under the jail and all of that. But I recognize how harsh that sounded and sounds, because that episode is still up and it'll still be up. But, the growth, just like, growth from Malcolm Little to Malcolm X, hello, growth from that episode to episode 11 of PODMAS 2021. But yeah, I really encourage all of us listening to give people the grace to grow. Give people the grace to be who they want to be and not incarcerate them to their former selves. Like, I think it's a privilege to be able to change who you are. And I'm not talking about change. People be like, oh, well, I'm not a she, I'm a he. We're not doing that. I'm not talking about that. I don't give a fuck about your pronouns. Like, shut up. I'm not sorry. That's not what I'm talking. I'm talking about you as a person, you as your character. Like, if you once was a bitch, but now you're the sweetest person ever, I want to give you praise for that, right? Like, if you once was an asshole, but now you consider other people's feelings, I want to give you praise for that. I think that's awesome. It's hard to change ourselves, or we get so committed to who we're supposed to be, or who we're conditioned to be because of society, because of our peers, and just the pressure of that. But when you finally realize, hey, this character of myself is no longer serving me and actually never was serving me, I have the right to change. I have a right to learn more. I have a right to just be a better person. I want to give you praise and recognition for that. So, free Larry Hoover. Maybe Kanye West and Drake is, maybe they are doing a good thing. Let's get into Insecure. Ooh, finally a good episode came on. Ooh. Okay, so the reason why I'm saying ooh is because Nathan showed up. Look, I was always really Team Nathan than I was Team Lawrence because, again, I don't appreciate the storyline that I consistently see in different TV shows and movies of couples who still stay together just because they have history together. And it's like, what? So you can't ever grow? I remember I said this in a previous episode. I was like, how one of my relatives, I'm not going to say which one. I'm just going to say relative. That's like a nice cover up. I'm not going to say if it's a cousin, if it's a sibling, an aunt, an uncle, just a relative. But one of my relatives was in a relationship with her ex for 10 years. So when she was in high school to right after she graduated college. And so they were each other's partner for a lot of years, clearly, for formative years in their life. And it was, sure, it's a beautiful thing. Oh, you're gonna get married, But honestly, I don't want to sound like a hater, and I really hope it doesn't come off like a hater, but I was happy that they broke up. Hello? Is my mic on? I was happy that they broke up, and they've been broke up. It's not like, oh, they might get back. I mean, who knows? They may, but they've been broke up. She's been moved on. I think he's been moved on too. Like, they're finally living life separately and exploring other opportunities, exploring other people, and not to say like on some promiscuous type of thing, but they finally are learning what life is like outside of each other. And what I noticed in their relationship is that there was a strong dependency. It was strong codependency upon each other. And it was just like, I'm with you because I've been with you, right? We've already been together for 3 years. Why not be together for another 7 more years? We've already been together for 5 years. Now, why not be together for another 5 years? Like, it was just this dependency because of the history that they had. And I just hate that shit. I don't believe in being with your high school sweetheart. No, I believe people are here, especially at a particular time in your life, that chapter needs to be closed. Like, I don't, this is like so Aquarius of me, right? Non-committable type of thing. No, but I really believe that. I really believe that you're missing out. And again, not on some promiscuous things, but like, you are a growing individual. And oftentimes the same person you were when you was in high school and the same relationship that you was in with that guy from high school will not serve you anymore when you're in college, when you're starting your career. You start to just discover different layers of yourself. And sometimes you find yourself alone because the person that you're with, or even just in friend groups, the friend groups that you once had, y'all don't have anything in common anymore. You have people still talking about the past while you're still trying to figure out your future. Like, I don't talk to anybody from my past. I'm kidding, but I'm not though. What I mean by that is a lot of relationships, a lot of friendships that I had from the past. Seriously, it's kind of weird, and maybe I'm the problem. No, but dead ass, it just kind of fizzled out. Like, okay, I remember in high school. I feel like I'm the problem. No, I don't think I really don't. I'm just really pointing out this conversation in this point because it's real. Like, I don't understand people still friends with people or still in relationship with people when they were 7 years old, like still just as close. Like, I don't even know what that looks like in my head. Like, yes, I still know people in my life who I'm still friends with, but like, the reason why I say friends like that is because friendship to me doesn't I don't consider you a friend if I haven't talked to you in years. Like, it's just weird to me. Like, if you don't know what's going on with me currently, then I don't consider you a friend. Does that make sense? Like, I consider you more of an acquaintance. You're not an enemy, but like, we don't have you don't know what's going on in my life right now. You don't know what is happening in my world right now. I don't know what's happening in your world. I don't know who you are right now. I only know the version of yourself that I knew from 2009 to 2013. Like, that's it. And we're always going to revisit those past memories, and it becomes this relationship dependent upon our history. And that's what I have a problem with. We oftentimes just find ourselves, or y'all do, not me, because when I'm done with you, I'm done. Like, I don't believe in still being in people's lives because, oh, we've just always been in each other's lives. Like, what is that? What? Like, I don't know. That's just weird to me. It's really weird. So when I see people still in relationships with their high school sweetheart, their first grade sweetheart, like, what? Like, if you're the same person from high school, ew. If you're the same person with the same beliefs, especially the same, if you are so strict in your beliefs from when you were 22 and you're 37 now, are you even doing this thing called life correctly? Like, are you even trying to grow? Like, I feel like every day should be an opportunity of growth. Not to say you have to be a different person, because I'm still who I am to my core. Like, when I think back about when I was in my teenage years, in my college years, high school, like all those years, I still maintain my sense of identity from who I am today to then, as far as like my humor, my personality, and how I was always opinionated. When I sit back and track to my younger years, I recognize, oh wow, I've been consistently myself. What has changed though from those years to now are my beliefs, are my opinions on some things. But as far as my way of doing things or way of communicating or even some ways of how I communicate. Like, I've always been aggressive and kind of like the way I talk has always been the way I've talked. But now I'm more aware of how I deliver my words. I'm more aware of how my tone matters more than my actual words. For a long time in my past, I did not understand, like, why can't you just accept what I'm saying? Like, because how you're saying it is rude, right? And I did not understand that. But for a time, I was very aggressive in my delivery, and it landed on deaf ears. Now I've learned the art of communication, the art of, I mean, maybe it's borderline manipulative, but like, I knew the art. Now I've learned the art of how to communicate and how to do so effectively and how to do so in a way that will get people to listen, and not just listen. And not to say you have to agree with me, but you may listen to me enough and hear what I'm saying, so much so that you are now challenging your own thoughts. You're challenging your own ideas, and you're able to kind of sit back with yourself just because of my words, just because of my tone and my delivery. Like, okay, bitch, like, that is some proud shit to finally use the power of. And so I didn't know the power of communication back then. I just thought, like, well, you know, you'll take it how you take it. You know, the truth hurts and truth is harsh. You know, just like a bitch. I remember I was with Leprechaun Bay, and he was just so rude in his delivery of any critique. Like, he did not know how to cushion his delivery of any critique he had. So, like, if he didn't like your outfit, if he didn't like my outfit, if he didn't like my hair, oh my gosh, I remember being with him, and this was during a time when I finally let go of relaxers, and I cut off my relaxed ends, and my natural hair was out. Like, it was always out, and it's, as you guys know, I have 4C thick, kinky hair. And so it was during a time when I was still navigating life with my natural hair after many years of being relaxed. And being with him, he always critiqued me. He always had something to say about my hair. I remember one time we was in an argument or some type of discord, and he was saying, like, you don't know how many times I've defended you against my friends because they didn't like how your hair was. They didn't like how your hair looked. And I had to defend you because of your hair. Nigga, what? Yo. I was with a nigga like that. Hello? Is my mic on? This is true story. Like, I can't even make that up. He literally said, oh, this is a longer episode. Y'all, I'm gonna wrap up. I'm so sorry. I have a tendency of talking too much. These are supposed to be mini episodes, but I'm gonna get this off my chest. He really said that to me. And I felt guilty in that moment. I was like, oh, like, I guess I should follow this standard of beauty so that he won't have to defend me against. Like, I was just, I was at a point in my life where when I wasn't as vocal and strong in my identity then as I am today. So yeah, that was some shit. Okay, so this is just an example of, like, don't be with people who don't know you or who don't try to accept you as you are and put you in a box. Okay, I forgot what was the point of me going there. Oh, Lawrence. Okay, I wasn't Team Lawrence because I'm not Team Lawrence because of that. Because of the fact that this storyline is just about, oh, just be with him because you've always been with him. Because I think they were together since college or right after college or something. And, that was a formative time in their life, figuring out adulthood. And I get the nostalgia has a way of holding us hostage. You know how many shows are back on TV because of nostalgia? I was just talking about Sex and the City, which is now And Just Like That. That has come back because of nostalgia, because people can't let go of the past. People just want to relive it. And being that we are in a time of this scandemic where we're trying to find comfort, shows from the past bring us comfort. And so you see a lot of just reprising of these old shows that really just give us comfort, and that explains that. So Team Lawrence, I was never on Team Lawrence, and I was like in favor of her. I remember, was it season 1 when she cheated on him? I understood, like, okay, like, get your shit together. Like, she wasn't happy. And niggas just want to stay together because y'all got, I hate that shit. So look, just stop. And I really hope they don't end this series with them back together, because I'm so sick of that. Like, they tried it didn't work out. Let it go. Like, we could be cordial. We don't have to be together in order for us to have a relationship. Like, we could just not be together and be fine. It's okay. Okay, let's get into Team Nathan. Okay, I mean, I've become Team Torian. This is the guy, which this name is strange, but okay, Team Torian, or Torian. It's Torian, actually, Torian. And when I saw his name spelled out on her phone when they showed us that in the previous episode, I was like, who's this? Who's Torian? Like, and then I realized, oh, this is her work bae. Anyway, Torian he really showed up and showed out. Like, I'm really impressed with him, and I'm really happy for Molly. Like, I'm sad that this is the final season and we finally see Molly in a healthy relationship. We see Molly to be a healthy friend, she's a better person, a healthy person in general. Like, it's amazing to see that. But, of course, they're gonna wrap it up with that and not have that be from last season's storyline. But anyway, Nathan had a problem with Lawrence being at the party that they were in this latest episode. He felt bothered by his presence, didn't know that he moved back to LA. And he was just instantly annoyed and bothered by it, right? There was a moment between the guys he had, and they started debating about barbecue and which city makes the best barbecue. Is it LA or is it Houston? And being that Nathan is from Houston, of course he's going to be biased and say Houston does. And I hear that a lot, that Houston really does have bomb barbecue, but I don't really eat out like that. And I feel like some people's food, like, although it may look good aesthetically, it, like, at least my stomach doesn't meet well with it. I remember one time I went to this black-owned restaurant here in Houston, and I ate their food, and I went home rushing to use the bathroom because I had instant diarrhea. Okay, so that may have been a me thing. It may have been a me thing, but what I do know is after I ate that food, it may have been mac and cheese. I think it was mac and cheese. It was something. And I realized since then, or after that, actually, not right after that moment, but I can't. Me and dairy really don't have a good relationship. So, but anyway, that place was in the bomb.com. But anyway, maybe sure. I do hear that Houston do have a better barbecue scene. I hear that in Austin as well, like just the whole state of Texas. So it's probably is a thing, right? So they're debating about that. Lawrence is obviously on Team LA for having the better barbecue or the best barbecue. And they were just doing this who has the bigger dick type of thing. And Nathan kind of won that argument because Issa's brother decided to break up the tension and say, hey, Nathan, I need my hair lined up. I should get a Caesar. What do you think? Can you fit me in your schedule for tomorrow? And they just said, oh, no, I can't tomorrow. Me and Issa about to buy a home. Well, not a home, but we're about to get an apartment together. We're going to move in together. And so that was a shot. He definitely said that to ruffle Lawrence's feathers and make him feel bothered by it, which, hey, nigga, what's up? And so it is. I'm with your ex. We're together and we're about to get a home. Like, hello. So I was like, yeah, nigga, yeah. Like, that was I like that. I like that energy. Another example of the energy that I like from Nathan is when he caught Lawrence and Issa talking, he said, what's going on here? Which at one point, I'm thinking, like, okay, maybe that shows a little jealousy. Like, he shouldn't even be worried. He shouldn't be, like, ruffled by Lawrence. Like, I don't want him to even give Lawrence that pleasure that he is ruffling his feathers. So I didn't like that, but I kind of like it on the stance of what happened afterwards, right? So what happened afterwards, you see Lauren saying, oh, we're having a conversation, while Issa's trying to say, oh, it's nothing. Let's just go. And he's like, oh, Lawrence is like, we're having a conversation. I'm trying to get my bitch back. What's up? Which I'm annoyed with. First of all, Lawrence, where was this energy before? Issa broke up with your ass months ago. She let you go because she realized I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. And I wish Issa, excuse me. I'm getting so passionate. So like, excuse me. I wish Issa would have been better communicative in her ending of the relationship with Lawrence. When she just said, Lawrence, I can't, or whatever she said, it was just like, okay, well, that's it. And I'm never going to talk to you for the next 3-4 months or however long a time it was. It was just annoying. Like, what, girl, explain why you can't. Say to him, I can't deal with you having a child and being a potential stepmother and dealing with that dichotomy, and I don't want to deal, like, I wish you would have just said that. And I feel like there's this push for Issa to be this adult and not have, well, I can't say that because there have been episodes or scenes of Issa being petty and not liking the fact that Condoleezza, whatever. It's like, I don't even make fun of her name, but it's just funny. But there's been scenes of her showing pettiness and just a negative attitude when it comes to the fact that Lawrence does have a baby. But I think this whatever. So yeah. So, you know, I think at that time, Issa should have been better communicative as to why she couldn't do it anymore with Lawrence. And if Lawrence really wanted to work it out with her, look, I get him saying, oh, I don't want to force her to be with me, and I wanted to respect her wishes and give her space. I hate that. Stop being lazy. That to me comes off as lazy. That to me comes off as scary, whack-ass nigga energy. Like, show me your big dick. Show me your big dick. Do you want me or no? Hello? This is not a rhetorical question. Do you want me or no? Yeah, but I can't. Yeah, I don't want to hear a but. You want me? Okay, good. Let's move forward. Okay, good. Show me that. Okay, good. Show me that energy. Don't be like, I respect your wish. Fuck my wishes. I want you to fight for me. Like, hello? That's what's happening here. So when Lawrence want to come in and talk about, what about now if I would have fought for you? Like, nigga, shut up. And it just comes off as, oh, you want to fight for me because you see me clearly happy or seemingly happy. I mean, maybe that's a question that we need to examine. But generally, you see me happy with someone else, with Nathan. And now you want to fight for me? Fuck you. Fight for this. Like, you should have fought for me before. I hate. Yo. I hate too cool of a nigga. I've been with guys who are too cool, who would say, you know, it's whatever you want. Or who didn't have a plan, right? Like, oh, let's go out to eat. What do you want to eat? Whatever you want. Nigga, make a reservation. Make a plan. Pick the dates. Where are we going for vacation? Like, do it. And being that I'm this, like, controlling as far as I like order, I like structure, I like to know what's going on. You know, maybe I'm not too big on surprises, but, like, I like to know what the fuck is happening, right? Communicate that. And to be with someone or to be dating someone who isn't like that, or have dated someone who isn't like that, it bothers me. Like, speak up. Fight for me. So I don't know. Sorry, excuse my passion. But that triggered the hell out of me. Because again, I've been with niggas who were very lazy, very too cool for school. It's whatever you want. Nigga, what do you want? Do you want me? I hated that. Anyway, so when I saw Nathan buck up at Lawrence, and maybe this is the toxicity in me, but my pussy got wet. Hello? Is my mic, did you hear me? Yes, my pussy got wet. That's what happened. That's what happened when I saw Nathan punch and push and was aggressive towards Lawrence. Now, did he need to be aggressive towards Issa as she's trying to break him up? No. But here's my stance on this. I feel like as a woman, I don't care if I'm your woman and I see you in a fight with another man, I'm not getting in the middle of that. I'll talk to you afterwards, right? I'll call another guy who's in the vicinity and say, yo, break it up. That's my man right there. Even if you are beating that nigga's ass and you're winning the fight, like, I don't want to get in it because that's some man-to-man shit. Like, that's some ego shit that you have to figure out on your own. And what if I get in the crossfires and then boom, my face is blackened? My eye is blackened because I want to be, baby, no, I want to be that, but I got a black eye now and I got a busted lip because I wanted to get in the middle. I'm not doing that. So if I was Issa, I would have been like, I'm standing right here and hopefully it doesn't get too bad. Like, you know, like there are other guys in the vicinity that could have easily broke it up. So Issa getting in the middle of that was annoying to watch. You know how Issa be talking just like she be talking so stupid sometimes. Like, girl, shut up. Like, stop always smiling. Says someone who always smiles. That's maybe I'm talking to myself. But I really didn't like that part. So, yes, it looked aggressive and it looked kind of whack for Nathan to get mad at Issa and say, yo, chill. And like he nudged his arm away from her as she was trying to touch him. I think also, though, you got to give people their space. I am big on that. Like, if I'm angry, well, if I know you're angry, even if it's at me or someone else, like, I'm gonna let you cool down. Especially if you're angry like that. You was just in a fight, a physical brawl. I'm gonna let you cool down. You know, I'll give you some water, but I'm not going to be up on you because your adrenaline is rushing and I don't need you to get buck with me because then I'm going to get mad when it wasn't even about me to get mad at, right? So I didn't like that. And I think that may be a strike against Nathan, which is what I hate because now he may seem like, well, this aggressive character and you got mad at me and that scared me. And is this how you always going to act when we get into argument or when something happens? I'm afraid for my life. Is that bullshit? You know, when it's like, nah, this is how he's going to act when he's being disrespected, which if he is being positioned like Lawrence was positioning him, then, you know, that's fine. Look, go ahead and fight for me. Go ahead, baby. Yeah, get hit. Like, that would be me. And maybe I'm toxic. Am I toxic? Like, maybe that's some toxicity. Maybe. But I thought that was sexy as hell. And again, my pussy was wet. So that was dope. And I see Nathan as a protector. I really do. I think he's just a dope character who's genuine, who knows how to defend himself, who doesn't stand for disrespect. He does have himself in check. We see him taking his bipolar meds. We see him being better in his communication style. We see him not even going, you know, to be physical when he had that argument with his coworker at the barbershop. Like, we see some growth in him. So I want to give him that praise again. You know, Malcolm X, you know, from Malcolm Little to Malcolm X. I want to give him that praise. And I was actually reminded of a previous scene with Nathan in Insecure of, I forgot which season it was, but it must have been the first season we were introduced to Nathan. And when Issa was an Uber driver and Nathan was one of the passengers and another passenger got in the car because it was a party lift. Oh yeah, she was a Lyft driver. So it was a party lift and this other passenger was being very inconsiderate. He rolled up some weed and was smoking in the car even though the lady said, no, you can't do that. And Nathan was like to the guy, he said, the lady said, you can't smoke in here. And it was at the point when I don't remember if her and Nathan was like full on a relationship or full like fucking at that time, but it was just on principle. He doesn't stand for disrespect. And you are disrespecting this lady, because that's who she is, right? This lady's expectation and rule in her car. No smoking weed in my car. Like, you don't get to do that. The guy challenged him and he took the weed from him. He took the joint from him, threw it out the car. They fought. Nathan was fucking him up. And this was a big guy. So what I see in Nathan is he doesn't stand for disrespect. I don't care how big you are, how much taller you are. And we see obviously Lawrence and Nathan, there's a difference in height. Lawrence is taller. We see in that scene that I was just describing in the lift, the guy who got in the car, he was a bigger man, but Nathan doesn't give a fuck. And that's what I really appreciate that. And I see Nathan has a protector. Yeah, nigga. Fuck him up. Fuck, yeah, baby. Like, that would have been me. That would have been me. But of course, in that time, you have your ex fighting your current. And so it's not a, appropriate time to say, yeah, baby. But I still don't agree with Issa trying to get in the middle of it and trying to stop it. I think Issa needed to just check herself and sit in the back. But we'll see how this ends. I really hope she doesn't go back to Lauren just because they got history and all that bullshit. I really hope her and Nathan really stick together. But I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of mixed reactions as far as if it's Team Nathan or Team Lawrence. I'm seeing people are more in favor of Team Lawrence than they are of Nathan. I am seeing some support of Nathan, but not as much as I was before. Like, before he disappeared on her, prior to her knowing about his mental illness. Yeah, a lot of people was on Nathan's team. But we'll see how it ends. I can't believe it's over. Next episode is the last one. It really is an end of an era. And it sucks that it took the 9th episode, I think it's number 9, this past episode to be a really good one. There were a lot of whack-ass, boring-ass episodes, and this could have had episode 5, really. But anyway, I'm excited to see how it wraps up, and it's just bittersweet. It's really bittersweet. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. This was a long one. You're welcome. Damn, it really was an hour. Should I break it up into 2? No. Let's just be fair. Okay, yeah, so this was a long one. You're welcome. And I will check in with you guys tomorrow again for our very last PODMAS episode of 2021. And just a heads up, I will not be recording after the 12th PODMAS episode. I'll give myself a week off and we'll start off. So the last week of December, there won't be a new episode release of God Built This Podcast, of the regular main full episode that I usually deliver every Tuesday. I will give a new episode starting the new year, 2022, for this podcast. So for the full main episode. So yeah, just a heads up on that. But yeah, tomorrow is our 12th PODMAS episode, our final one. And I will check in with you guys then. Goodbye.